Got a lot of college football headlines to dive into today. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Ursery, and sliding in here like Chris Collinsworth, sliding out now like a reverse Chris Collinsworth. PJ Zuko is in the studio as well. But on the heels of National Signing Day, early signing day, we have a ton of headlines to dive into. We also have a couple of bowl games coming up tomorrow, which means this is the final time this week you're going to hear our voices. The 3 and Out guys are going to have a little bit of a show tomorrow, but due to the Bahamas Bowl, which that should be the premier bowl, like in college football, that should be the national championship every year.
Mm-hmm. They should send
is there a better location
the Bahamas
than the Bahamas Bowl?
Nah, man. You know how you just go to those cruises and you go to the Bahamas? I never really got to venture out.
Well, yeah.
So,
but I mean, like I know Kevin's a big
nice.
cruise. Kevin's a big cruise guy.
Same here.
I'll say PJ, big cruise guy.
I think like one of my favorite places on earth, and I've never really been. There's not a lot of places that I can, other than the United States, that I can be like, oh yeah, I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
But the Caribbean is just any part of the Caribbean is just incredible. But
I also never got the Caribbean thing.
Yeah,
I don't know where the difference comes there, but anyway,
there's so many different ways to say things. But isn't there a Hawaii Bowl though?
You got a point.
I feel like
yeah. It's like if you're going on a trip, you're going to the Caribbean. You're going on a Caribbean cruise. But if you're watching the movie, it's the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
you got a point.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, I mean there is a Hawaii Bowl. I'm pretty sure, unless like Hawaii plays in a really good bowl, they're pretty much playing in the Hawaii Bowl every single year.
It's good to have a fallback.
That's an awesome one as well. But I think like the Bahamas Bowl should be the national championship every year,
yeah,
or at least a New Year's Six Bowl, something like that. But I also think it's usually funny because it's always a team that's from a relatively cold area, and like the two teams that are playing tomorrow at noon, Middle Tennessee versus Toledo.
That's kind of awesome.
I'm imagining the weather in Toledo right now and Middle Tennessee are not great.
Right.
Toledo's in Ohio.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it's cold.
Not great. And Middle Tennessee's in Tennessee, right? No.
There you go. We don't.
No, it's a
Ohio.
It's a major upgrade. Either way, in terms of weather, and it's a cool trip for the kids. But also at 6:00 tomorrow, following 3 and Out, we have Northern Illinois versus the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina in the Tail Greeter Cure Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that going for us. So bowl season kicks off tomorrow. Bowl Mania kicks off tomorrow. So this is our last show of the week here. But I want to dive into the college football news of the day because there is a lot to dive into. Number one, we were talking all yesterday, obviously, about Travis Hunter and the news that he flips from Florida State to Jackson State and go play for Deion Sanders down there. If you get a second, just go look at their class because it's pretty impressive. Some of the guys that they've been able to pull in. I'm pretty sure it's the number 1 ranked FCS class. Obviously,
I can imagine
they have a 5-star, but it's above a lot of FBS teams as well. And they pulled in a bunch of transfer guys as well from a bunch of Power 5 schools. I believe that Indiana transfer, a Florida State transfer is going in as well. A couple of Sun Belt transfers are headed to Jackson State. So that is going to be a really fun team to watch next year. So that was obviously the news yesterday, but quietly, Texas A&M blew past Alabama and Georgia for the number 1 ranked class. According to 247, they have 4 out of the top 9 players in the country committed. And so last night I went back and looked, and I was like, well, there seems to be a lot of Georgia, Alabama, and Texas A&M commits that we're seeing. And I just went and counted it up. It wasn't like an overly complicated algorithm I had to do, just literally counting.
I can get someone.
43
time.
Out of the top 100 players, according to 247 Sports, are committed or signed to play with Alabama, Texas A&M, or Georgia.
It's nasty.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's insane.
Add on top of that, another one of the news of the day. Last night about 9:00, Eli Ricks, uber talented corner out of LSU. He's been in the portal for a little while now, going to Alabama.
Rich gets richer. Wow.
So not only does Alabama have the second best class, and last year they had the best class ever, period.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, they had a class with Will Anderson and Bryce Young. So they have this class coming in, which is number 2 in the country. and you're adding Eli Ricks on top of that.
Yeah.
Think about what they did last year. Last year, they signed the best class ever, plus they added Henry To'oTo'o through the transfer portal.
Right.
And Jameson Williams
Yeah.
through the transfer portal.
Nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the new – I guess there's a few different ways to do it, but for like the top of the top, I guess the way to do it now is still go get your top 5 recruiting class and then fill the holes with somebody else's best player.
I think it's cool. Like Nick Saban, you could grab a wide receiver from Ohio State and say, hey, come down here. You're at Ohio State. Come down here. Grab a corner from LSU and say, you're at LSU, a premier job or a premier program. Come down here to Alabama.
Well, let me ask you this, because like Jameson Williams, the reason he left was because he was behind all of those awesome receivers at Ohio State and just probably wasn't going to see a ton of playing time and gets to go into a very, I guess, wide receiver friendly offense at Alabama. Just, I don't know, this kind of came to me. Do you think all like the other 3 receivers at Ohio State, if they had swapped with Jameson Williams, would have had the same kind of season?
Yes.
Like Chris Olave comes down, Wilson comes down.
Oh yeah, especially those two.
Or
the young kid, definitely. I think he's the best.
Was it Njigba?
Nelson. It's in Ojigba, something like that. But I think he's the best one out of all 4 of them. So he definitely
he's really solid. But I think if Wilson or Olave came down, I think they honestly might have even had a better season. But I think they're that good. But
a better season.
I mean, there's a reason why he left Ohio State.
He led the
SEC
what I mean?
That's
in
what
receiving.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Wow, that's a fair point.
I'm saying like
that's a fair point.
If Wilson or Olave, like I respect them so much. If Wilson or Olave came down, they probably would have been a Heisman finalist with Bryce Young.
Can't argue that. They're
like
fast too.
They're so good, man. And Garrett Wilson is so good in the air, being able to track the ball and just the movements he makes midair to come down with the football is insane.
Christian asked me this question yesterday: who's better, Olave or Wilson? That's really hard for me right now.
It is because and it's really difficult
Jackson
for
Smith
me.
and Jigba just the best out of all of them.
Yeah, I think he is.
I think he has the best potential.
Olave is that dude right now.
Right now, oh god, because Olave is more consistent, but Wilson
is that game breaker.
Will make he's game breaker. He'll make that insane play that you need.
Kind of like Waddle in a sense.
But see,
I guess I'd rather have Olave.
Is the most like Waddle.
True, you can't argue that. And
gotcha.
You see how Waddle's tearing up the league right now.
Yeah, he got a chance to break the rookie receptions record there. But anyway, I digress. That was just a little that kind of
that's
went off on a tangent.
Really good.
Really good. I was like, because like if any of them had just gone out, they probably would have had a very similar season. Sticking in the SEC West, just going through some of our college football headlines here. Sticking in the SEC West, Miles Brennan was in the transfer portal. He has announced where he is going to be exiting the transfer portal at LSU. Max Johnson hit the portal as well. So LSU had one scholarship quarterback, or probably still has one scholarship quarterback for their bowl game coming up in Nussmeier down there. Now you have Miles Brennan coming back. BJ seems to think this was him seeing that the competition had cleared out.
Right.
With Max Johnson gone. I think maybe more so it was Brian Kelly saying, we have a 5-star coming in. You're obviously better than Nussmeier. And I'll say this, Miles Brennan kind of seems like a Brian Kelly quarterback.
Yeah. No,
I think it's a good fit. Like I think a lot of times, and we've seen this 3 or 4 times now, at least with significant transfer portal entries now, because Tank Bigsby, there's some speculation that maybe he was never in the portal, but was talking about getting in the portal.
Right.
Or talking about transferring. And now he's back at Auburn. Jamias Griffin is now back playing running back for Georgia Tech. Right. So we've seen a bunch of these guys kind of decide, you know what? I'm going to stick it out and I'm going to come back. Same thing just happened with Miles Brennan there. And I think that can end up being a really good fit for LSU, specifically with Brian Kelly coming in, just needing some sort of stability inside this offense. Now, the biggest thing would be trying to keep Butte, making sure he doesn't go anywhere, because he could potentially be best wide receiver in the SEC next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that for sure. And like you said, the stability is really good. And of course, I hate saying this about players because it's not like they go out there and try to do it unless they're just not taking care of the body. But he just needs to stay on the field. Like I've always thought that about Brennan. Like he's always looked like he's really fit the mold, fit the part of being a really solid quarterback. He has that potential. And I completely agree with you that seeing Brian Kelly come down and maybe seeing the potential that he could have in his offense and what we've seen from Brian Kelly's offenses in the past, it seems like a really, really good fit, and good on LSU as well. There are programs and there are certain programs that once you enter the transfer portal, you're not coming back. You're not a part of that team anymore. I don't love that because I get it from a team camaraderie standpoint, but at the same time, it's like it's just a kid trying to make the best decision for himself and testing the waters. So I commend LSU and Brian Kelly and the coaching staff for bringing him back in the fold as well, and letting that happen. So that's actually a move that at first I kind of batted my eyes at it, but that could be really solid for LSU moving forward and Brennan moving forward. Hopefully he can, progress and stay in the game, stay on the field for all next year, and we can really see what type of quarterback he is.
Yeah, now I know Kayshon Boutte has been one of those players that has talked about transferring, and now apparently the rumors are he could be heading to Alabama as well. He's got a lot of likes on his page very recently, his Twitter page very recently, that would, I guess, lend themselves toward Alabama at least being in the hunt. But he was also quoted as saying just 4 days ago, I don't really know him in terms of Brian Kelly. I know he's a pretty good coach. I know he wins a lot of games. So, I mean, maybe. Or do you tell Kayshon Boutte, do you say, hey, Jameson Williams gone, potentially John Mechie's gone. I can have a 1 year just
it's a
platform
decision
with Bryce Young.
It's a business
NBA first round pick.
Play with the best quarterback in the country, first overall.
Play with the best player in the country.
Well, best player, yeah. It's a business decision, and he's gonna leave. I mean, I wouldn't.
But even with his boy coming back and Miles Brennan,
I like Miles Brennan. 11 touchdowns, 3 picks in 2020 before he got hurt. I like him. I think he's a solid quarterback, and I'm glad he came back. But Miles Brennan or Bryce Young, it's an easy question.
It's an easy question. At the same time, like I just hear that, and I know a lot's changed. That this might be an oversimplification of an answer or a thought, but I know a lot's changed over the past 2 or 3 years. 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, can you imagine? Like, so many players are making this switch. It feels like it's like, I'm leaving my school. I'll just go to my rival school. Like,
yeah,
it's wild. Like from LSU to Alabama, from Tennessee to Alabama. I mean, it's crazy.
When did this kind of start? Like in college? I can't really think
like
of
literally last year when they announced the free transfer.
Well, to me, it's not even like it's the transfer thing, and then it's also like, hey, like for example, I've been in Michigan for 3 years. I'm gonna go to Ohio State now. Like it is a business decision for sure.
Well, we've seen it. So we've seen it
wild.
before. Like
Brendan Cox.
10 years ago, like let's go Russell Wilson, for example. You had the quarterback who was really good, but was playing on kind of a middling team. And so he would have grad transfer for a year, go play for a good school, i.e. Wisconsin. I'm not saying NC State's not a good team at the time, right?
Yeah.
Go jump and play with Wisconsin. And did he win the Rose Bowl while he was at Wisconsin?
I think they did.
I know he played in it. I don't know if he won it. But
I'm pretty sure they won.
Pretty sure they won the Big Ten championship, and won the Big Ten championship and won a Rose Bowl. Anyway, so that was the thing. It was like grad transfer, so you had that free year to play, and then it became the hardship waiver was really the thing that really came about like about 4 or 5 years ago, where player would transfer, and it was kind of became a wink, wink, nod, nod, like you'll be immediately eligible because you can have a hardship waiver, even though I don't know how much hardship some of these transfers had versus the players who actually did transfer for hardship and didn't get that free year. So that was just another one of those things that was just a fault in the foundation with the NCAA.
That still makes me mad, man.
And then this past year, they just get rid of it altogether and say everybody gets a one-time transfer. And I think it's awesome. I think it's if you're asking a kid, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, to either A, commit to being somewhere for 3 to 4 years, or B, if they don't like it, if something's wrong, if they miss being around the family, whatever the reason is, you're saying, okay, well, you can't do what you like to do for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm with the transfer. I know we're going back and talking about something that's already been in the fold for a while now, but
I love it.
That's kind of what it switched about a year ago, but now we're seeing the ramifications of it, which is free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be, you're not going to see the player who plays for 4 different teams in 4 years, because you still have, if you transfer again, then you have to sit out.
Yeah.
But you can see players play for 3 schools.
Right. Yeah. Very possible.
Play for one, transfer to another, and then grad transfer to another.
We could see that from,
Yeah, I think it's cool, man.
Yeah.
I do.
Could we see that from JT?
Man, I mean, you possibly could, because I don't know what that quarterback situation is going to look like.
That is a
UGA.
whole show
Yeah,
worth of
that's a
conversation to have.
show,
You guys on the
yeah.
pulled up your computer? What are you trying to let us know?
Wisconsin Rose Bowl. They haven't won one since like 2000. So they lost 3 years in a row, 11, 12, and 13.
Oh man,
So they lost
that's
with Russ.
crazy.
I guess
Yeah.
they did win. Lose
Heartbreaking.
that one. Was that against Oregon? I think they
Yeah,
lost against Oregon
lost
with
against
the
TCU.
D'Anthony Thomas game.
Ooh.
when he
TCU
just
by
went off.
2, Oregon by 7, and Stanford by 6.
Yeah.
3 straight years in a row.
TCU,
crazy.
that was the Andy Dalton game.
That's tough. All right, I need you guys to put your thinking
Anyway,
caps on
yeah.
because we're going to come back. I'm going to pose a question to you. I'm going to need you to think about it, and I need you to be honest with your answers. A little bit later, we get the Christmas spirit here on Second Down. A little bit
Yes.
later on 3 and Out. The guys obviously are going to be diving into the news of the sports world, which is Urban Meyer done after just 13 games as the head coach with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And inside of those 13 games, he put together a career's worth of, I guess, we'll call them fumbles. We'll go with the football term because I was trying to think of something I could say on the air. And I guess fumbles was the first word because it kind of has the first 2 letters of the thing I was thinking about. But anyway, we'll come back here on Second Down. And we'll dive into I got a pertinent question for both of these guys as we see a lot of coaches on the move. We're going to dive into that. We are, of course, presented to you by the Uniform Source. You can stream all of our stuff online at espncoastal.com, so you can take us with you wherever you go. And if you miss any portion of the show, you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, espncoastal.com, and wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. We'll be right back after this. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside PJ Zuko and Cam Urshery here on this Thursday afternoon. All right. So I said I need you guys to put your thinking caps on, and nobody has hats on, so I'm kind of disappointed in that. But I was thinking about this, just going back to the Lincoln Riley situation as he goes from Oklahoma to USC, and it's saying all the same things every other coach says, where it's like, oh, we're going to build a family, we're going to make this the I think we say the mecca of college football. And then the Oklahoma players like, yo, he literally just said that about us like about a week ago. And so the fans out there aren't happy. And I hadn't heard about this, but apparently they came up with a very creative name. They are calling Lincoln Riley Tebow. Now, that's an acronym for that B word out west. I'll let you determine what B word that is. But that being said, not happy, right? I would say even to an extent, kind of devastated, right? It's not very often that a school like Oklahoma gets kind of left standing in the doorway like, what just happened? Like as Lincoln Riley's getting into the cab and taking off, right? So fan base obviously rallying behind Brent Venables, but that being said, still, your coach is taking you to a bunch of college football playoffs and has kind of maintained the status quo of what you were as a football team. He's gone and he left you in the dead of night, right? I'm curious what fan base out there right now would be most devastated if, say, like the Jacksonville Jaguars came in and swooped their coach from them. Like emotionally devastated. If their
college
head coach,
fan base?
Yes. Like which college team would just not be able to emotionally handle their coach leaving like that? Just out of nowhere, out of the blue, everything's successful. Yeah, you lost to Oklahoma State at the end of the year, but still your top 10 team. What fan base out there would just not be able to handle it and would be crushed emotionally if their coach left?
It's a great question.
I'll let you think about it, and I'll say
solid,
this. I think the obvious one for a lot of people would be Alabama, but I'll say this. I think more so than Alabama being the like sad and depressed that he's gone, I think more so than anything, it would be like you're dating someone who's way out of your league and you stay together for a really long time. And eventually at the end of it, you're like, I get it. Like, I get it. And I thank you for everything you've done. Like,
I don't think they'd be devastated. Yeah.
I think you'd be sad at first, but then you'd look back over the past like decade and you'd be like, I didn't deserve this, but I got it. And you know what? I won so many championships.
You go look back on YouTube and look at 10, 15 clips of
correct. You never actually have to watch another game again because
Yeah.
you can just go back and watch the decades worth of happiness that he brought you. So I think Alabama fans would be sad at first, but I think eventually they'd be like, you know what? It's okay.
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you which one.
It's a really interesting way
I'll
to
tell you
put
which
that.
one I think it is. If Kirby Smart left Georgia right now, can you imagine the state of depression that would fall over this state?
Yeah.
I would definitely be depressed.
First of all, Kirby Smart in a Jacksonville Jaguars visor is not an image I needed that I
No.
knew I needed in my life, but I
Please.
kind of do now.
Please don't.
I
Never.
would be disgusted. Well, not disgusted, depressed.
I mean, he had a better record in Jacksonville than Urban Meyer did as Jacksonville's head coach.
You know what's hilarious? And like, this isn't my, that's so true. What's hilarious, and this isn't my final answer, but I just kind of thought of it, and it kind of makes me happy because of who it is. Yeah. I mean, like Georgia being it, like, especially right in our backyard, that's fantastic. But especially with just like what's happened over the past few weeks and whatever. What if Harbaugh left right now?
I see. I think that's an interesting one
That was
because
the one
I think Harbaugh is the anti-Urban Meyer for a lot of reasons, right? Like, I think Harbaugh, like the media really gets on his case a lot. And I was talking to BJ about this earlier. I think the media gets on his case a lot. And like everyone kept talking about the hot seat all these years when he wasn't beating Michigan State and Ohio State and all that stuff. I don't think the fan base ever felt like that though.
Right.
I think the fan base was like, who are we going to get that's better?
Yeah.
Like, right. You kind of ride with him. He's a
He's a
Michigan
man.
He's a Michigan man. And like, you can ride with him through it. And yeah, he does kooky stuff, but like, you can just kind of see the progress he was building towards. It's like, yeah, it's frustrating. I get it. I don't think he was ever on the hot seat in terms of the fan base or the administration. I think that was all just kind of the media saying Michigan should be better than they are. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting one. If Harbaugh left Michigan, they'd be like, because think about what they had before him. It was not good.
Yeah. I mean, what they had before him wasn't great. They are, like, I've said this during, commercial breaks, I think, but like Michigan's right where they want to be and have been for the past 5 or 6 years. They're, as long as they're, even if they're not winning championships, as long as they're relevant and
Mhm.
going 10-2 or 11-1, a lot of teams are like, well, no, we want to win championships. Michigan, they'll take a championship for sure. But as long as they're in the conversation in the top 10, they're not that mad at it. So like, especially like you said, the just the demeanor he has, him being a Michigan man, it's just, and right now,
Like if
with
he
this
left,
latest push,
and went to Jacksonville.
yeah, with this latest push, beating Ohio State, being in the college football playoff,
winning the Big Ten
Kinda
championship.
getting over that hump, and then, oh, by the way, I'm gonna go to Jacksonville and be the head coach of the Jaguars. I think that would be insanely devastating for that. And now I'm kind of giddy. Like now I kind of want that to happen. I hadn't thought about that, but I want that to happen.
Nah, that's the one I was gonna say. I would go Kirby, but that was the one I was gonna say. I think it's some people out there, and I still never will understand this, where they're like, Kirby needs to go. He can't beat Alabama. Well, nobody really could beat Alabama. So he's the best thing that's happened to Georgia since I've been alive. I mean, since I've been alive since '98, he's winning every year.
Yeah.
SEC championship, 4 of the last 5 years, a national championship appearance, 1 SEC title. If he left, I would be devastated, but I would have to go Harbaugh. Like if he just said, "Hey, I'm going
That'd
to
be wild.
Jacksonville,"
Yeah.
I
That'd be
think
crazy.
Michigan would like explode literally.
You know, I think there's one, and I know they're not winning national championships every year or being even in the championship every year or anything like that. But you said a name
Oh,
and
no.
you started talking about Oklahoma. What if Mike Gundy left Oklahoma State? Like with how
wow,
long,
that's a good one.
yeah, with how long he's been there, they're almost always relevant. Yeah, they're gonna have a year where they'll go like 7-5 every now and then, but for most of the time, they're in the top 10, in the top 15, in the conversation for winning the Big 12. And yeah, they always seem to be the team that's just short, right? Which sucks, and maybe a lot of the fan base doesn't like that. But then again, you're Oklahoma State. Like Mike Gundy has brought them, I feel like, to a prominence that they never really have been at before, and he's been there for so long now too.
Yeah.
If he just up and left, especially you got the flow going and everything too. I mean, he's kind of made his own brand there. If he left, I feel like that fan
Blake
base would be
Hughes wrote it. He
bad.
said Kirk Ferentz leaving Iowa. I don't know that it would. I think that's more just like a stagnant marriage. Like neither one's gonna leave the other, but if one did, like they'd kind of be okay with it. And I think that one might be ending sooner than you think, because we kind of have that Bill Snyder situation where he wants his son. I think his son's the OC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like his son, if like that goes sideways, I think maybe he's already created the fault line there. But I don't know. I don't think anybody would be overly upset if Kirk Ferentz left Iowa.
Yeah.
And also Kirk Ferentz as the Jaguars coach, a new image in my mind that I
no.
just when you thought you couldn't get another Tom Coughlin.
I'm trying to think of another.
So
coach.
true.
Couldn't say Mel Tucker. He hasn't been
No,
there
it's
long
been
enough.
Cam is the biggest
I'm trying
closet
to think.
Michigan State fan I've ever seen in my life.
They love him up there. They
Which
do.
is weird because
But he's been
apparently
there
he
for 2
loves
years.
Michigan too.
Exactly. Nah, they love him up there.
Like with
trying to
Ryan
think of
Day, like
other
if Ryan Day left Ohio State, I don't think anybody.
No.
No.
Well,
I think
this
he's.
is
Oh, my bad. I think he's
No,
kind
you're
of
good.
like easy to replace. I think he'll be easy to replace.
Well, I don't know about that because like he's
I
done a
think
good
so.
job.
I think that's
like,
the question.
I
though.
think, but I think a lot of Ohio
Yeah.
State fans just assume he leaves, this truck keeps on rolling.
We'll get
Yeah.
the next guy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's kind of what I've been thinking about Ryan Day over the past couple weeks, though, too, is like
Why have you been thinking about Ryan Day the past couple weeks?
Ohio State's always in my mind. I mean, it's I want to see him fail so bad. But like, is it really is the jury? I feel like it's still out on Ryan Day because like with what it's funny we started talking about him getting fired and everything, but with what Meyer was able to do there at Ohio State and the people he was able to bring in and whatnot, I feel like Day is kind of going into the stage of time where, all right, these are going to be your guys now.
Yep.
This is going to be truly the system that you
Oh, we're
put
doing
in
this
place.
thing?
Like now where does it go? And
That's
I don't think he's
interesting.
a bad coach.
I mean, he's
by
got
any
like the
means.
4th or 5th recruiting class in the country. Like he's still out
Yeah,
here.
for sure.
They're still out here doing Ohio State things. They're still going to put up 50 on everybody. But another one I think would probably emotionally devastate the fan base, Dabo.
Oh, I
'Cause-
totally
Because
forgot about him. Yeah.
pre Dabo, Clemson was not
Yeah.
great. They were
Yeah.
very okay. They were not great. I think if
Totally
Dabo left,
forgot
that would hurt.
That's the one.
I think you start talking about like like relationships and how this ties in, I feel like that would be one where the fan base, just because of the season they just went through, would be like, fine, we don't need them anyway, whatever. And then like a week later, you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
this is
I
bad.
miss them.
I'm sorry.
Well, they always say that about like the girl versus the guy in the breakup. Like the girl's like the one who's like the
Yeah.
saddest initially, but
can see
the
that.
one who's like happier quicker. Whereas
Right.
the guy's happy initially, then very sad. So you're saying the Clemson fans would be like the guy in that situation.
Yes, very
I
much
got
so.
you.
I think they'd be like, fine, whatever. And then you get
And
into
then
it, and you're like, man,
looking at old Facebook pictures of each other. and-
yeah, we should have
That
tried to
was a
work
good
through
one.
this.
That would hurt me if he left. And I'm not even a Clemson fan.
Yeah, I'd be
And
right.
I'll
just
be
like
like,
your
"Ah."
the college football world you've built in your mind, Dabo is at Clemson.
Yeah, I'm like,
And you don't want
you
change.
know, it
I
gotta
get that.
change.
I
It's
get
like,
that. All
he's
right.
done so much.
So we mentioned Michigan. That was that's a lot.
That's
Mentioned
an
Michigan
unexpected
time.
one
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Mentioned Michigan, and you have to say like Michigan when you pronounce it.
Of course.
But they've made it to the college football playoff this year, and I think this is outstanding because now you can, if you're Harbaugh and anybody questions you, you can say I've done something that only 13 other teams have done now, or 12 other teams.
hmm
I am one of 13 coaches to lead a team. I shouldn't say I don't think it's 13, but it's like Michigan is one of 13 teams to ever make the college football playoff now,
Yeah.
which is absurd to think because that's what is it 32 spots over like since the beginning of the college football playoff era.
So yeah,
There would be 32 spots,
Yeah.
and prior to this year, only 11 had made it.
Ooh.
Because you have 6 appearances from Alabama and Clemson. I believe this will be Alabama's 7th, giving them the number 1 overall. 6 from Clemson, 4 from Ohio State, 4 from Oklahoma, 2 from Notre Dame, 1 from Florida State, 1 from Georgia, 1 from LSU, 1 from Michigan State, 1 from Oregon, 1 from Washington. Now you can add into that
yeah, one from Michigan,
Cincinnati and
Cincinnati.
Michigan. So Harbaugh made Michigan one of 13 programs ever out of 130 to go to the college football playoff.
And he signed an extension this offseason before the season, correct?
Yep.
So they did that for
I don't
a
think he's going
reason.
anywhere. Like
No.
No,
This is his final
unless
spot.
the pros come a calling again.
I think the pros have already came calling a couple of times, actually. I don't think he'll leave. He had his little opportunity where in San Francisco where they
Yeah.
almost won a Super Bowl, but I think Michigan is where he needs to be at.
Well, I do
like
think
it.
it's interesting too because I honestly don't know. I think it's pretty similar, but what NFL head coaches get paid versus what college coaches get paid. And a lot of times the draw is if I can make similar money being an NFL head coach, I'm going to go be an NFL head coach because the workload is just so much smaller, right?
Yeah.
Where I think, Jerry Jones said this. He said college football coaches deserve to be paid more than NFL coaches just because of the workload, right? When the season's over for the NFL, coaches, they're doing some scouting and they're doing some film study and a lot of transactional stuff, but they're not going to Little East Village, Texas
Mhm.
to try to recruit a player that's not going to be on your team for 2 years.
If they do go there, it's on vacation, and
Correct.
then
I don't know
You're
how many
wondering
people
why
are
they're
going to Little
going
East
there.
Village, Texas on vacation,
yeah,
but they might.
that's what I'm saying. You're wondering why they're there. I'm like, yeah,
So, I mean,
no,
I
for
think
sure.
that's the only reason I could see somebody like that leaving is you offer him very similar money and he doesn't have to recruit.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't.
That's true.
Even
like
then,
Harbaugh.
even then, like with the money and everything, less responsibility. And I'm sorry for. I know it's fresh in the minds, but do you really take that if it's Jacksonville though? I mean that's the thing, right? Is it's where
No.
you're going
Well,
too.
I would say, like,
So-
you would think you would have some time to work it out. And I guess that's not a
Yeah.
fair comparison because Urban Meyer didn't get fired because it was on the field stuff.
Of course,
Yeah, had he not done anything, he'll still be there, like right now. It's,
just
it's a process.
maybe just don't kick people.
don't kick
I
people.
said we
don't
were going
tell
to talk
people
about
they
this. We're
suck.
leaving this for 3 and out because I know BJ is going to have a whole thing about this.
Don't do a lot of stuff to
Let me-
people.
let me-
yeah.
Let me get real close to the mic here. So we all know BJ Bennett's he's a
Yes.
Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
I feel bad.
Did
for
y'all
him.
no? Did y'all see his hat today?
No.
Oh no.
He's wearing this is how down bad the Jaguars are.
Oh no.
Shit, we gotta be quiet.
Yeah.
BJ's wearing a Falcons hat.
Yep. Makes sense.
Come to the well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say the good
Yeah.
side because it's not the good side
Yeah.
over here. You
but it's better.
Somehow it's
so
better.
much. It's so
I'll
much
take
better.
it any day of the week.
Shh, shh, shh.
Any day.
It's so much better. I didn't say anything to him about it. I just saw him
Down
come in.
bad.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good point.
I saw him come. Well, I mean, BJ had a rough day yesterday because Florida State fan and a Jaguars fan.
Ooh.
Is he okay?
I might
we-
need to talk to him after the
We're
break.
gonna go talk to him. Let's take a quick break. We're gonna go make sure BJ's okay. We'll be right back after this. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. We're just over 2 weeks away now from the college football playoff semifinals. Georgia, Michigan in the Orange Bowl. I want to get the Christmas spirit here, and we're going to play another quick game.
Yes. Yes.
Here are the rules.
Yes.
Obviously, there's 4 teams in the semifinals. Christmas is right around the corner. Christmas will take place before those semifinals, so they still have time to put something on their Santa Claus wish list.
Oh,
right?
Oh my.
Here's the only rules. The one thing they cannot ask for are victories. They can ask for things that happen in the game. You can ask for lots of other things. You just cannot ask for a victory. Just pick a team and tell me what's on their wish list prior to the college football playoffs.
Man, that's a good one.
All right, I'll start for you.
I
Yeah,
got
go
an
ahead.
easy
I
one.
mean, I'm.
Oh, go ahead. Can you got an easy one?
for
Easy
sure.
one. Wish list for Georgia. Make Bryce Young turn over the ball 2 times. or
Wow,
more.
so you're just going assuming that they're beating Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the assumption. All right,
Yeah.
that's a good one. I'll say this for the wish list. For if I am Cincinnati, I am asking Santa to make sure that Alabama doesn't just turn around and hand the football off. Because
Make 'em do
Cincinnati has
anything
the
else, huh?
best corner duo in college football. Alabama's down John Mechie. Cincinnati has Myjai Sanders, who can get after it on that defensive line, and they know how to mix up coverages and really get after you on the defensive line. So if Alabama comes out with the Georgia game plan where we're going to throw the ball all over the place, I think that's the dream for Cincinnati. So their wish list is don't let Alabama SEC us, where they just get behind Evan Neal and rush for 7 yards at a time. If they can get that, I think Cincinnati's got a shot.
All right. I got 2.
Okay, let's get it.
And they're both revolving around Georgia and Michigan. And what's funny is they're actually both dealing with the big boys up front.
Okay.
For Georgia, all I ask for, if I'm Georgia, is a clean pocket all
Interesting.
game. Clean pocket all game for Stetson
That's a
Bennett
tall order.
or JT, whoever's there at quarterback.
We have to
as
work
it
extra
should be
hard on that at
Stetson,
the North
but-
Pole.
No, yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I think that is anyway for reasons everyone already knows.
All right.
Now turn around and look at Michigan. I think what they want is the ability for them and only them
Mhm.
to line up with more than 11 players on the field. Because I think they want more offensive linemen out there than they're
That's
supposed
probably
to have.
fair.
Like 7 or 8. If Harbaugh could put like 8 offensive linemen out there, I think he'd be very happy.
See, if I'm Michigan, the
I
thing
think
I'm
that's what they
wishing
need.
for is the college football committee comes down with a rule change that says you can only play one tight end at a time. Because I think Michigan, when I look at this game, I think the one thing they're going, because they have a good defense. They have a really good defense.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think their offense, I think their offense is pretty on par with Georgia's. I don't think their defense is as elite as Georgia's defense is, and just I think that's probably where this game is going to come down to.
Yeah.
Is Georgia's defense just going to put that Michigan defense in bad situations just with field positions?
Mhm.
But if I'm Michigan and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking offensively I can slow them down. But the one thing that's weird that I don't really see is 2 tight, 3 tight sets with 3 different tight ends that can burn you deep. And that's what we saw happen against Alabama. Was the only real success Georgia had down the field outside of George Pickens' 1 catch was Brock Bowers cooking them down the middle. Darnell Washington just man-childing over Henry To'oTo'o. Like, I think those tight ends are a big concern, and Todd Monken's got real creative with them. So if I'm Michigan, I'm like, all right, all I want is a limit on the number of tight ends you can play at a time.
It's one more thing Michigan should still wish for.
Okay.
Being able to run the ball on that D line for Georgia.
That is a big wish.
Yeah.
That's
the only way you're
like
going to win.
PS5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a PS5 for Christmas. Yeah.
But
just-
no, that's a PS5 for Christmas if you're asking for it right now.
Yeah, right now. And that's the thing. Like, I don't foresee them winning against Georgia if you can't run the ball. I don't think that's
exactly.
So
happening.
if it's on,
Right.
much like a lot of Alabama fans thought, like if it's on Stetson, we feel pretty comfortable winning. If it's on Cade McNamara,
Yeah.
Georgia fans should feel pretty comfortable.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why,
I'm
that's why I
comfortable.
think they want those extra offensive linemen, man.
I'm not saying you should be comfortable. I'm not saying you should be comfortable.
Right.
But I'm saying if the game comes down to where Cade McNamara is throwing it 40 times, then you should feel pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know
I
what?
would feel pretty good.
Well,
about
for
that.
Alabama, what's Alabama wishing for? Are they just like, are they the rich kid?
Yeah,
No.
no, I think they get everything they want.
I think
Yeah.
what they wish for is maybe a clean pocket again, just
I
for
think
Bryce
I
Young.
think what Alabama's wishing for, and there might be some Alabama fans out there that are going, psh, psh, but in the heart of the hearts, they know that this is true. Alabama is wishing, and I said you can't wish for a victory for yourself. Didn't say anything about other teams. Alabama is wishing for a Michigan victory.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
the last thing Alabama wants to see is Georgia again.
I'd agree with that 150% for sure.
Absolutely. It's hard to beat a team twice.
Not because it's Georgia. It's hard to beat a team twice.
Yeah,
it's so hard to beat a team twice. And if you thought Georgia was maybe a little bit distracted in the SEC championship, maybe a little bit full of themselves, you'll get a completely opposite kind of performance. I'm not saying it goes any different, but what's a harder matchup for Alabama, Georgia or Michigan?
Georgia 100%. And that's you said that not necessarily because it's Georgia. I 150% agree that it is because it's Georgia. It is because, to me, that's the only team that can really, like, pound for pound match up with Alabama in every way and make that game uncomfortable, especially if you're beating someone twice and it's someone that's not comparable to you, then it doesn't matter to me. Like, it's a little more difficult to beat them that second time. You're still probably going to go out there and do it. Look at Utah and Oregon, right? But I think because it's Georgia, because of that talent they have on the defense and what they can be like when they play their A-plus game.
Think about the last time Georgia played the same team twice in a season. It was 2017 against Auburn.
Right.
Auburn, what did Gus Malzahn say? Whipped the dog crap out of them and Jordan Hare, and then flipped that back around. It was 28-7.
Yeah.
Same
in the
LSU
SEC championship.
LSU and Bama, that 9-6 just slugfest, and then Alabama beats them 22-0 in the national championship.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially in college football. You rarely see it.
I really wonder what makes it so difficult. Is it just like, hey, we beat the crap out of them the first time, like why would we change anything? I wonder if that has something to do with it, or if it's just like the odds, like really good players aren't going to have bad games twice in a row against you. I don't know what it is. We got to take a quick break here, a little bit over. We'll come back, final segment of Second Down next. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by The Uniform Source. Last, I guess, minute and a half, you will hear our beautiful voices.
Hey,
Until next week. Then I don't even know. What's it look like next week, PJ? You're in control of all this.
oh man, I'm not sure, but I know I won't be here, so
Wow, where are you going?
get what you can while you have me here. You know,
Where are you going?
Pennsylvania. It's
How long are you leaving us for?
forever. No,
That's what I thought.
now just till after Christmas.
Just like Kirby Smart to Jacksonville.
I'll be
Just
back
gone forever.
Tuesday after Christmas.
Cold.
Oh, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be great. Hopefully it snows.
PJ loves it. I love the cold too.
Yeah, it's like 70 degrees outside. It feels gross today.
Yeah, I hate it.
I hate it.
What? Oh,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
I can't
got
stand
that.
it.
I'm not good. I'm not good with it.
Like I am angry when it's hot
No.
outside.
I'm not good. With
I
the
talk to
cold.
people up north, and I'm like, they're like, it snowed. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. They're like, I hate snow, and I'm
Well, I
like,
think it's the same
why?
thing like we're dealing with, where it's just like it's always hot, and so we're like, ugh,
I don't know.
Pennsylvania's always cold.
I'm not sure. People have been like, oh, you got away from it. You got out. And I'm like, I've always loved it. I mean,
I'm allergic to the cold.
okay.
Hate it.
Depends on how cold it is, I guess.
Let's see. I'm trying to pull up the
Two.
bowl schedule real
Little
quick. Take a look at what next week looks like for us.
I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
probably-
we got Monday. We got the Myrtle Beach Bowl, baby.
Yeah.
2:30. So we might have a little bit of time with you. So you might hear
Oh, we'll
from
see.
us there.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. 3 and Outs coming up next. They're gonna get you caught up on all of the latest from the Urban Meyer fiasco. And the Trevor Lawrence is free. Now the Trevor Lawrence era can start. 3 and Out up next.
Is every